This is the Tristan Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristan Law, semi-retired pro wrestler, and today, I'm your host. What if I told you that WWE has created its own independent pro wrestling company? They're taking over pro wrestling on the independent scene, and nobody's talking about it. Well, today, stick with me, because we're going to be looking at WWE Evolve, where it came from, where you can find it, and its future within the WWE. So in case you don't know about WWE Evolve, WWE Evolve was a former independent pro wrestling company running around on the indies. That's their old school logo right there. They partnered with the WWE way back in 2015, and they were a soft feeder system for NXT. It wasn't like an official known thing, but it was what it was. And then eventually WWE absolved it. WWE said, give me that. I want that. WWE took that in 2020 during the pandemic. It's not really Evolve right now. It's not really developmental in the traditional way. It's not really like NXT. You know what? It's just different, and it's one of those things that you just have to watch. And I'm going to tell you exactly where you can find it, how you can consume it and become a part of it. But the thing about Evolve is it's a brand. It's like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, but it has a real indie feel to it, a real independent pro wrestling feel to it. It's smaller venues. It's a more intimate setting. The production for Evolve is a lot more simpler, and it feels a lot more organic. Evolve also serves as the place for everyone, including wrestlers, referees, announcers, for them to come in and get their reps, so that they can be ready for that main roster when it's time. The thing about WWE Evolve, though, that I love, because I watch it, it's been out for 4 weeks. 4 weeks? I think it's 4 weeks. Comes out every Wednesday. And what I like about it embodies that indie spirit. It embodies the indie spirit because you get a lot of indie wrestlers on there. You get a lot of the WWE ID people that are indie wrestlers. You get a lot of the WWE NIL wrestlers. You get some people from NXT at the lower level, people in the performance center at the lower level. And if you don't really understand what WWE ID is, after you're finished with this, I made a whole entire episode where I talked about WWE ID and I explained it just a little bit. So make sure you can check it out. The name of that episode is How WWE ID Can Change the Future of Wrestling Forever. And look at it now. Now we're talking about the truth about WWE's independent wrestling takeover. But let's rewind. What is Evolve and how did WWE quietly make it theirs? We are going to be looking into that next. But if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. I don't understand what is happening here, but we are up to 293 subscribers. I am getting over 10 subscribers a day, and I'm happy that you're here. Because what I'm doing, unlike any other YouTube channel out there that's talking about wrestling, is I'm building a community. And when I say I'm building a community, what I'm looking for is like-minded people like me that just love wrestling. Right? Yeah, granted, I was a wrestler in the ring. I'm semi-retired pro wrestler, Tristan Law. Thank you so much for having me. But what it is for me is that I just like that it's a place that we can all come around and talk about wrestling and just be respectful about it. Everybody has an opinion here on the Tristan Law Show. So whether you're watching this live or on demand, make sure you put your comments in the chat. Subscribe. So when you look at the history of Evolve, there's one key person that you need to know about. And that person currently, ironically, works for the WWE now. The person I'm talking about is Gabe Sapolsky. He's known for his indie roots. He was a Paul Heyman guy. He was around Ring of Honor, ECW, and look at him now. He's doing his thing for WWE. He's the person, from what I understand, that's in charge of people getting like tryouts and different stuff like that. This is from what I understand. He's involved with people coming up through the performance center. And I think that's a perfect role for him because that's something that he did when he was running Evolve. He had a lot of WWE people before they got to WWE there, like Austin Theory and names that you could bring on. But when you look at Evolve, Evolve was created as a pure pro wrestling promotion. There's no gimmicks. There's just in-ring storytelling and there's athleticism. And you can see a lot of that bleeding over into the WWE now because you got a lot of people in there from Evolve, from the original Evolve. The thing about Evolve is that it emphasized smaller, intimate venues like high school gyms or American Legions or Knights of Columbus's, community centers, small, intimate places. It wasn't arenas, right? It wasn't big stadiums. It was real small places that you can come in and see this pro wrestling. And that's one of the things that I love about indie wrestling when I was an indie wrestler full time, is that you don't have to pay WWE prices or AEW prices. You come into this place and you might pay $20, right? And sometimes $20 is even a stretch. Sometimes it's more, but $20 is real middle of the road for what you pay. And for your $20, what you're getting is that intimate, up-close entertainment of pro wrestling for the night. It's like going to go see your favorite rock band or your favorite musician, and like you're not in Madison Square Garden. You're in the Chance in Poughkeepsie, New York, which is down the street from the Civic Center where WWE did their thing. I just had to tie it back into wrestling so we can move forward. And that's what you get with the original Evolve, with indie wrestling, and with Evolve right now. I think that the thing about the original Evolve is that it focused on a sports-like presentation. That is something that the WWE is doing now. One thing that that Evolve, the original Evolve did, is that they had win and loss records and rankings, and every fight felt like a real fight. Who's trying to do that right now? Oh, AEW. AEW's doing that. They're keeping track of people winning and losing and different stuff like that. So, no, I don't want to end the poll. I'm going to look at the poll. So people are just, not understanding what Evolve is. And, I'm going to explain that to everybody here today. Evolve is also known for launching the careers of indie standouts like Johnny Gargano, who's in the WWE right now, Austin Theory, who's in the WWE right now, Keith Lee, who's in, I think he's in AEW, and Matt Riddle, who just finished with WWE, and much, much more. Evolve was what AEW is. It's the little brother. It's made for hardcore wrestling fans. When you're watching WWE, you're getting entertainment. You're getting sports entertainment. You're not getting the ha-ha and all that other stuff. It's just pure wrestling. Like, if you want just good wrestling and flat-out wrestling with nothing in between, watch WWE Evolve. Stick with me. I'm going to tell you where to find it. You don't got to Google it because I'm here. I'm your boy. I got you. You don't got to worry. But what Evolve did was they partnered with WWE around 2015, like I said, becoming a soft feeder system. And they were never a TV product. They were never on TV. So if you wanted to see Evolve, they were either streamed online or released via DVD. So it's almost like grassroots, like cult, almost cultish for Evolve. But when you look at their relationship with the WWE, there's NXT talent that worked there for more reps before, and Evolve even aired a PLE, Premium Live Event Pay-Per-View, on the WWE Network before WWE said during the pandemic, you know what, give me that. What I always recommend is WWE Vault, because WWE Network is gone here in America. We have it on Peacock, but it's not the same. You can't watch episodes of Monday Night Raw. It's gone. Like Instinct said, it's gone. We don't have that anymore. But if you go to WWE Vault, there are Evolve matches. You can find one there with Street Profits. This was before they were ever on Raw or SmackDown. When WWE bought Evolve, funny story, this goes back into an episode that I did way back in the beginning of season 3. WWE bought the tape library, and what they did was they quietly shut down Evolve. If you didn't know, you didn't know. They didn't mention it. It wasn't something that they broadcast. And what they did is they quietly repurposed it. A couple months ago, I was using a footage talking about indie wrestling. There's an episode about why indie wrestling is so special or something like that. And I repurposed some footage from Evolve. And WWE said, nah, bruh, you can't use that. You're stealing our content. And I had to fight with WWE for a little bit. And after I fought with WWE, they said, you know what, you're using this under fair use. So I actually beat WWE one time. And I was able to continue to use that video, and they didn't block that video. So check that video out if you want to talk about indie wrestling. It's way back earlier in the season. I got a poll going on. When I mean poll, I mean voting poll. Behave yourself. It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. There's kids watching. And the question, I wondered, have you watched WWE Evolve? The poll thing is new here when you're live, so you have to watch live. If you got anything else you want to say in the comments, go ahead and say it in the comments. But I want to know, have you checked out WWE Evolve? Not the original, WWE Evolve. Right now we're at 50% yes, 25% no, and 25% of what's WWE Evolve? Well, you know what? By the end of this, hopefully you can change that. What is WWE Evolve to no? Because what I'm doing is we are talking about the truth about WWE's independent pro wrestling takeover. How WWE bought Evolve, acquired it, said, give me that, Gabe. And what they did was slowly just repurpose it. So WWE bought Evolve, but why? WWE might have had a plan, and they might have had a bigger plan than you think. Just a friendly reminder, 6 days after every single live episode, you can listen to me wherever you find podcasts. Don't forget that. Hit subscribe. So, Evolve, right now, is WWE's independent wrestling company. Once you watch it, the only thing that separates Evolve right now, WWE Evolve, from a traditional independent pro wrestling company like Pro Wrestling Magic in New Jersey, check them out, my boy Steve Off. The only thing that separates them is the WWE machine, right? So Evolve is an indie company through and through. But they control it. It's a true training ground for everything in WWE. Not just wrestlers, but they have announcers there that you've never seen. They have Peter Rosenberg from Hot 97. He's there on the announce team. They have Rob Stone. They have him there. They got this other guy as like the announcer, some big guy. He walks around like a t-shirt and a hat. You know, there's a lot of faces and people that you don't know that you actually get to see on WWE Evolve. It's also a place for referees to level up and get to NXT and hopefully get to WrestleMania, and crew. That includes camera crew, audio crew, everybody. It's a whole entire training ground for everybody to work their way up to get to NXT, to get to Raw and SmackDown, and then to finally get to WrestleMania, because that's where the big money is. But why does WWE Evolve exist? For WWE to invest in the future of their future. And that's the whole entire episode, everybody. Thanks for watching. Just kidding. But that's literally the whole episode of why Evolve exists. So that WWE could invest in the future of their future. Evolve is the developmental for the developmental. It's where WWE ID and NIL talent, NIL is like the college athletes that they're pulling out to become wrestlers. It's the place where all of them get their start. It's the place where WWE ID wrestlers get places to work, because you know what? Once they, I'm gonna be 100% honest. Be 100% honest with you right now. As an independent pro wrestler, you have a price. I'm not gonna tell you what my price is unless you're gonna book me for a wrestling match. But the thing with WWE ID is that the second that these independent wrestlers oh man, I'm so excited, I'm knocking over the microphone. That the thing with WWE ID is that once my colleagues, these fellow independent pro wrestlers, got signed to WWE ID, what they were making before in the indies, they can now ask for more. Why? Because when you go on the WWE website, you can see them. Why? Because now they are on Evolve, right? So now it's like, you got to pay me more money. I'm a TV star now, right? So I think that being on WWE Evolve, it could have put those wrestlers out of price for, you know, what it is that the typical independent pro wrestling promoter can't afford. But WWE Evolves give these WWE ID wrestlers the place where they can still work and practice. Because, look, pro wrestling is just like podcasting, and that's why I love doing this here on YouTube. The more you do it, the better you get, right? You need reps in front of live people. It's one thing to just do a podcast like live. I mean, it's one thing to do it live, and it's another thing to do it and then present it later on YouTube or wherever you find a podcast. But when I'm here live with you, anything can happen, and the more times that I do it, I get to learn and bounce with the punches and stuff like that. Same exact thing with independent pro wrestling. But Evolve, it replaces working the indies because it keeps them under the WWE umbrella, and it cuts out the whole entire independent pro wrestling middleman. WWE isn't just scouting anymore. They are growing the talents themselves. They are saying, you know what, you look like somebody on the indies. Instead of me waiting until you are NXT ready, I'm going to give you a WWE ID contract, and we're going to have you here and see if we can get you get you ready for NXT. The craziness that WWE is doing right now is like, look, it wouldn't work at any other time because pro wrestling right now is so damn popular. So damn popular pro wrestling is that they can actually create their whole entire independent company. But the pathway to WWE used to be NXT, Raw, SmackDown, then WrestleMania. But the way it is now, first you get to Evolve. And you can get to Evolve either being an independent pro wrestler or being an athlete in college. So now the path is clear. Funny thinking about this real quick before we go into the path. When I was a kid, and I told people I wanted to be a wrestler or pro wrestler, I thought that I had to go to college, just like the NBA, and become a wrestler and get scouted, and then eventually the WWE would hire me, right? But now that is the case. That was never the case back then. It was you go to college, you become an athlete if you can, or if you don't go to college, you go find a pro wrestling school, hopefully they teach you the right way, and then hopefully you work your way up, and then maybe one day you can main event WrestleMania. But now they're literally plucking people out of college the same exact way that the NBA is, the same exact way that the NFL is, the same exact way that the MLB is, the same exact way that insert sports organization here is. WWE not only sees themselves as an entertainment product, but they see themselves as sports as well too. Yeah, they call themselves wrestlers now, right? That's the type of sport that they do. But what WWE is doing is crazy. I don't care what nobody tells me. The pathway to WrestleMania now is Evolve. Then after Evolve, you go to NXT. And after NXT, you go to Raw or SmackDown, and then you get to be on WrestleMania and hopefully be the main event on one of the two nights. Looking at FCW, right, which was way before NXT, FCW was WWE's controlled training system. But Evolve, it feels more like a real independent pro wrestling brand. FCW was an indie wrestling company to an extent. It was smaller venues. It was intimate. They traveled a little bit. But this is a whole different thing altogether. It's not just another NXT. WWE Evolve hits different, and here's how. I'm going to tell you that in a second. But this Tuesday, live at noon here on YouTube, I want you to know that WWE has too many darn championships, and it could be ruining the WWE. I need you to subscribe, because what happens is that we are going to be talking about WWE's championship overload is destroying their product this live Tuesday here at noon on YouTube, and the best way for you to know is that to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. It means a lot. It means a lot. 293 subscribers? Man, you know what? Let me give y'all a hand clap real quick. That's for all 293 of y'all. And if you're watching this on demand and you happen to subscribe, this hand clap is for you. So, how is Evolve different from WWE NXT? Simple. Smaller venues, lower production values, and it's more intentional. It keeps the independent aesthetic. If you've never been to an independent pro wrestling show before or ever seen one on TV, the closest that you're going to get is WWE Evolve. I promise you. But that's what makes pro wrestling special. Independent pro wrestling special. The lower production values, the intimacy of the smaller venues, and the fight for exposure. WWE, I think they mentioned Evolve on Raw and SmackDown, but it's like they don't really mention it a lot. They're talking about Raw and SmackDown, WrestleMania every single week, but they're not talking about WWE Evolve. They talk about NXT, all of that, but they're not talking about WWE Evolve. Maybe I'm wrong. If you've seen it somewhere, tell me. Tell me. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the chat, whether you're watching this live or on demand. When you're watching WWE Evolve, there's no overproduced promos. They're not in the ring talking for hours and hours. It feels more natural and it's more wrestling focused. If you just want wrestling, go watch WWE Evolve, because that's what the heck they're doing over there. WWE though, Evolve, they don't got much time. They really don't have much time to waste, and they're not really wasting your time. They have a 1 hour show on Tubi in the US and YouTube everywhere else. And the best part about it being on Tubi and YouTube is that the barrier of entry is so low, because Tubi is free, YouTube is free. So like, you don't have to purchase cable, you don't have to buy Peacock, you don't got to get Netflix. You can actually not have Netflix, not have Peacock, not have the WWE Network, and still be able to enjoy WWE Evolve. You already have YouTube. You know how I know that you already have YouTube on your phone, or you watch YouTube? Because you're watching me right now. So I'm in the same exact universe as WWE Evolve. The barrier, and that makes the barrier of entry super low for casual fans and hardcore fans. So I like doing the Tristan Wall Show on YouTube. You know why? Because like I said, I get hardcore fans, I get casual fans, I get fans that have, look, I'm building a community here. And anybody that comments on any short that I put out or any video that I put out, I am the one that sits there and I respond to every message. I want you to be seen and heard. You know why? Because you took the time out of your busy day to watch my video. You humbled me already. I'm on my knees. And you decided to take the time to write a comment. Yo, I'm not a superstar. And even when I become a big time superstar, I'm still going to write you back. You know why? Because you're a part of the community. We're doing this together. WWE Evolve is on Netflix. It's on YouTube. And it's on Tubi. Because it's on Tubi and it's on YouTube, you could stumble upon it by accident and don't even know that you want it. WWE Evolve is on Tubi and YouTube outside of America, and you can accidentally stumble upon it and become a fan. You might say, you know what, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. You might be a hardcore wrestling fan back in the day, and you just like wrestling. You don't like all the gaga that WWE does, but you know what, you tune into WWE Evolve, and they're going to give you 60 minutes of wrestling, and you got to watch the ads on Tubi. All right, that's fine. Evolve is not on a national TV channel. It's not on a major streaming platform, but I consider YouTube a major streaming platform. But you know, it's not on a national, on a major paid streaming platform. WWE Evolve is not behind the paywall, and because they're not on the paywall, there's no need for big production values. Look at the NXT arena. That is the NXT arena right there at the WWE Performance Center. They got people packed buttholes to elbows in there, lined all the way up to the back. But what I want to show you is that same exact arena for WWE Evolve. Same exact place. And it's super indie feel. And when I mean that it's super indie feel, you got the bike racks, the barricades in front of the people. There's not that many people there. There might be maybe 2-3 rows of people sitting, right? But when you look at the same exact arena with NXT, it's a lot of people and it's in the same building. It's not in a different building. And look at the production value. That's what makes WWE Evolve so special. That is what makes independent pro wrestling so special, because there's no need for the glitz and the glamour. We're just here for the wrestling. If you are watching this and you're like, man, you got kids and you want to take your kids to a pro wrestling event, and you can't afford WWE, because right now the prices for WrestleMania are astronomical. The price that WWE is asking for WrestleMania, because SummerSlam is coming to New Jersey this summer. And I'm like, New Jersey's only next door. So I'm like, I want to go to like SummerSlam. But if the amount of money that they're talking about paying, I'm willing to pay maybe $500, maybe $600, $700 for a good ticket. But I ain't looking to pay no $2,000. I got a kid. I can't be doing nothing crazy like that. For all that, this is where I want to sit. I want to sit right there. And you know what? I'll probably sit right there for free. But if they're charging people, it only costs people $10 to sit there. That's where I want to sit. Y'all not going to come take my money up out of my pocket like that. Y'all not going to bamboozle and flim flam me. But NXT is the polished TV show. And Evolve is the gritty, dirty, unpolished proving ground. You work your way up to NXT from WWE Evolve. And when you compare what WWE is doing with Evolve as compared to what AEW or NWA were doing, they both had YouTube shows as well. They had shows that were not behind a paywall, not on a major streaming platform. And YouTube is money for anybody with a vision. And just like I have a vision, WWE, AEW, and NWA Power, they had a vision for what they want to do. And it makes it so easy because the barrier of entry is low. Because like I said, you're already watching YouTube because I know because you're looking at me, or maybe, you're listening to the audio-only podcast 6 days after because you don't want to see my ugly, mugly face. But it doesn't matter. We're on YouTube Live Tuesdays and Fridays. AEW Dark and NWA Power were perfect for non-traditional TV like YouTube. But the problem, now I'm going to have to take a shot at AEW. And I'm after, sorry, AEW. But the problem, AEW Dark does not exist anymore. They even had a show called Dark Elevation. And the reason why it didn't exist anymore is because what they were giving you was an indie wrestling show with a major company, but it was too damn polished. It feels like that it was too big for its britches, right? It's what they wanted to become, or not what they should have become. They should have kept AEW Dynamite and AEW Elevation and Dark Elevation separate. Dark Elevation and Elevation should have been something that's a lot more intimate and a lot smaller venues versus putting in a big venue where you're trying to pack all these people. Look, let's be honest. These people, these wrestlers, the independent wrestlers on there, they can draw, but they're not going to draw like those many, big names to be there. But again, that was the time that AEW was trying to find their identity. And I think right now that they might have found their identity, they just need to stick their flag in the sand and stand on business. But what WWE has right now is that WWE has Evolve, and what they're doing is they're doing it right. So what's next? If WWE plays this right, WWE Evolve could change everything. Give me the like and the subscribe if you're watching this right now. Go ahead and mash that like button because I love the like button. When you hit that like button, that means you like me. And if you like me, that means I like you back. So go ahead and smash that. Hit that subscribe. Let me put that graphic up on the screen for you. Go ahead. That's just a reminder, a subliminal thing. And stop touching the screen. You can't hit subscribe by touching the screen. No, what you have to do is you have to actually just hit the subscribe button wherever you see that. But the future of Evolve, and let me tell you what I see with the future of Evolve and what's going to happen in the next 5 years. This is by 2030. By WrestleMania 2030, here's what I see Evolve doing, WWE Evolve doing. They should get out of the Performance Center. They should get out of those intimate venues, the intimate venue of the Performance Center, and they should go find other independent wrestling buildings. They should go to the Ridgefield Park Knights of Columbus or the Mecca. They should go to the American Legions. They should go to the Knights of Columbuses, and they should go to the high school gyms. Why? Because WWE is outpricing their customers with these big WrestleMania events, Raw, SmackDown, even NXT to an extent, right? They're live on the road events. If they can run an event to where it's only going to cost a couple bucks for you to come in, you're definitely going to go. But WWE Evolve has to be really careful though when they do that, because what they can do is that they can kill the indies, because the independent wrestling scene. So they have to be careful to not kill the feeder system to their feeder system to their feeder system. They can't kill the indies, because if you kill the indies, you'll have nobody in WWE ID. And if there's nobody in WWE ID, there's nobody to go to NXT. If there's nobody to go to NXT, I don't know where they're going to find wrestlers at. So they need to play it right. Maybe once a month, twice a month for a weekend, every other weekend. Maybe they go travel the road and go do different things throughout the country and promote this. Because what I see is that WWE Evolve could be one of the biggest shows on YouTube, everywhere else, because y'all get everything, and Tubi here in America. In order for WWE Evolve to survive, they need to never become what WWE ECW was. WWE ECW was gritty. It was grunge. It was rock music at its best, if you want to call it that. And when it went to sci-fi with WWE after WWE bought it and rebranded and revamped it, it lost the vibe. Whatever made ECW special wasn't the same thing when WWE touched it. But right now, what WWE Evolve is doing right now on Tubi, they're still maintaining the specialness of the indie spirit, the independent pro wrestling spirit. And because they don't have to please big networks, because the barrier of entry is really low, because they probably don't have to pay that much, or they probably didn't get paid that much to do it, they don't need this big production. The gun is not against their head. So what they can do is focus on giving us the best independent pro wrestling that we can get. And I'm over here choking. I need some water. Because y'all over here choking me to death. ECW was a moment in time. ECW couldn't be done by any publicly traded company properly. And at least not every night on TV. They were hitting each other in the heads. They were bleeding like stuck pigs. Look, it was the time. Evolve is much more simpler than ECW. Much respect to all the ECW people out there, because if it wasn't for y'all, and I'm talking about the wrestlers, I wouldn't be where I am today. WWE has to keep Evolve true to what it is. It's the indies right now, with just a smidge of polish. Evolve is going to be the heartbeat of indie wrestling. They're going to find small gyms, churches, American Legion's halls, and what they're going to do is they're going to keep it raw and they're going to keep it gritty. It's going to let unsigned talent, unsigned indie stars get a shot. It's going to be WWE's official scouting ground. You know what? You want to be in Evolve, you want to be in NXT or whatever, why don't you come down to this Evolve show that we're doing? And what you're going to do is you're going to do a little bit of wrestling there. And then what you're going to do is we're going to see what you can, if we like you, maybe we'll bring you up to Evolve in Florida or wherever. Maybe do 2 premium live event shows per year. Okay, so you're probably saying, oh, well, if it's indie, then why give them a PLE? Well, I'll answer that. Because plenty of indies run premium live events / pay-per-views. GCW, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla did. My friends over at Pro Wrestling Magic, they do. So why not give Evolve the same opportunity just twice a year, right? NXT is 4 times a year. WWE is 12 times a year. Let Evolve do it twice a year. If it stays on YouTube, though, keep it on YouTube. Keep it on Tubi. If it stays there, it has a chance to be something special. I'm talking about Evolve itself. It will build a cult following because WWE is not promoting Evolve like SmackDown or Raw or even NXT. That's why I said, you know what? I have to come out here and tell you about WWE Evolve because you probably don't even know about it. 25% of y'all said that y'all don't know what WWE Evolve is. And 25% said that, no, you don't even watch it. So you probably don't even know that it exists. That's the poll right there. If you haven't voted, vote in the poll. Let me know. But let's tie this all up. Evolve might be WWE's smartest move ever. And here's why. It's bigger than NXT for long-term development. WWE has invested in the future of their future by putting out WWE Evolve. Evolve gives them the opportunity to not only help the NIL and WWE ID wrestlers get reps, but they can bring in big name independent wrestlers and take a look at them there. It's a money-making brand. You don't see anything about merch. You don't see anything about titles yet, but if you watch the show, what they're doing is that they're working towards bringing titles out, championships. They're getting ready to go launch the WWE Evolve Women's Championship and Men's Championship, Tag Team Championship down the line, but they're doing it smart. They didn't just come in day one and said, all right, everybody has a belt. No, what they're doing is they're building the brand first, and then the belts are going to come later on. Think about it like this. It's going to be cool. No, it's not going to be cool. It's going to be dope that that we can watch somebody from day one on WWE Evolve transition to NXT, to Raw and SmackDown, and then finally WrestleMania. Because right now, John Cena's getting ready to retire. John Cena's done 20 plus years with the WWE, right? And you were able to see John Cena day one in the WWE. This is when he was on the main roster. John Cena was there before. But now you get the ability, before Evolve, that you get to see people like Charlotte Flair, from her first time on TV, work her way all the way up to the main roster to now where she's one of the baddest bees in the WWE. But think about it like this as well now. You're going to be able to watch them on Evolve from day one, from the first day, before they're even worthy enough to go to NXT. And when that person retires, we're talking about a wrestler given the WWE 20 years. There are people right now in WWE Evolve that in 20 years are going to be multi-time champions, main event in WrestleManias, and I'll be 60 years old and I'll still be doing something like this. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. I like being on YouTube. The only thing that's going to happen to me as we get more followers is that I'm going to do more special shows for you. I'm going to do memberships to where we're going to sit around and we're just going to talk wrestling outside of the live show. There's also a newsletter. Don't forget, the newsletter is coming out. It's in the description of this video, wherever you find the description. And the merch store is back. So go ahead and cop yourself your official Tristan Law Show shirt, and then you're going to take a picture of you wearing it, and then you're going to tag me, and I'm going to share it for everybody to see it on social media. You know what? I'm going to do this one better. If you get a Tristan Law Show merch, click the link in the bottom, and you take a picture of you wearing the shirt. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to post you here on a future episode of the Tristan Law Show. Go ahead, I dare you. WWE is Evolve is the independent pro wrestling company ran by the WWE, and nobody was talking about it until now. WWE is preparing for a post-TV world because streaming is the future, YouTube is the future, and I tell that to everybody with my chest that I mean it when I say it, that WWE is the future. That's why I run a live product here on YouTube, because I see the future, and I am glad that you are here too. Let me know in the comments if you've watched WWE Evolve, how you feel about WWE Evolve running their own product, because I'm coming back on Tuesday, live at noon. WWE has too many darn championships, and we're going to have to sort it all out. If you like what I did today, be sure to subscribe, like, and share this with somebody that you think is going to like this. My name is Tristan Law. This is the Tristan Law Show. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Buy a t-shirt. Subscribe to the newsletter. Link in the bio. Flashing red lights, driving at night, window